While not a religious man, Jason believed in the brotherhood of man. In the Epistle of James chapter 2, verses 14 through 24, James, the brother of Jesus, explains perfectly how we, in the brotherhood of man, may best serve one another. What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to him, "Go, I wish you well, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about his physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Someone will say, "You have faith, I have deeds. Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by what I do." You believe that there's one God? Good. Even the demons believe that and shudder. Do you want evidence that faith without deeds is useless? Was not our ancestor Abraham considered righteous for what he did when he offered his son Isaac on the altar? You see that his faith and his actions were working together, and his faith was made complete by what he did. And the scripture was fulfilled. It said, "Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness, and he was called God's friend." You see that a person is justified by what he does, and not by faith alone. Now, friends, obviously, attention must be given to the elephant in the room. Each one of us reading or hearing this knows exactly what I mean by that. Let me say this. Just as each person is different, each person will react differently to the circumstances around us. Some will boldly attempt to address society's ills. Some will become part of the problem, and still others will retreat. Their self-defense mechanism often appears to those outside their small circle as unfriendly and perhaps cold or uncaring. Often it's a case of a person frightened and fearful of further emotional pain. Now, it's a personal challenge to each and every one of us to overcome the temptation of retreat, and while at times not easy, we've seen it done. As our loved ones faced fear in the eye and did what needed to be done, I want to remind you, friends, that true courage is not the lack of fear. It's facing that which we fear and doing what needs to be done anyway. You know, each one of us will, in the course of our lives, lead by example. In this example, as to how he concluded his life, we must concede our brother Jason set a poor example to those around him. Let us instead, perhaps, take courage in Jason's previous life's example when he echoed the sentiments of that legendary Marine Corps general, Louis Chesty Puller, who once said, "Can't means won't." You know, I've heard from a number of people since Jason's passing who attribute some blame to themselves or others, and some have stated that they or another had failed Jason. Well, you know, each of our lives from the age of reason will begin a series of decisions throughout life that will essentially cease at the end of our passing into our greater destiny. We make these decisions, and we make them alone. Others may try to make them for us, explaining it's supposedly for our own good, but ultimately the decision is ours and only ours to make. And further, happiness cannot come with more money, fame, or finding the perfect soulmate. None of these things will bring happiness. Happiness must be there already. Often a recovering alcoholic will fail in an attempt at lasting sobriety because he or she did it for someone dear. End quote. Sobriety, like happiness, comes when a person wants it for themselves.